sure.
So Kansas State and Iowa State, two passionate fan bases, both a part of the Big 12. This is something that Garrett, Craig, you mentioned this as we were coming back to. They're going to play in Dublin, Ireland. That's going to be in August of 2025. Isn't this Farmageddon?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. K-State, Iowa State, those two fan bases will eat that up and enjoy it. Most of the time, if you play that game, you then have a weekend off until you might play yet again. Thoughts, guys? This is a Big 12 opener in August of 2025.
I think it's great for the Big 12. I think it's really cool. I mean, Florida State and Georgia Tech are playing this year, and I would love to go to that game. It's just so expensive. But
how much? Have you looked it up?
Oh yeah, it's pretty pricey.
Like $5,000.
Yeah, I mean the airfare alone.
Yeah.
But Kansas State. Look, I know it's not going to be Farmageddon. In the two farm towns that you're talking about, but
snow pouring over the field like it was last year.
But look, Ireland, there's plenty of farms. So, and many of the farmers of which you're descended came from the green hills of Ireland. So I think it'll be fun. I think I like this. This is the international game I like. I think the fans in Ireland like it. I think they appreciate the game. So yeah, I'm all for it.
I don't know. I don't love it. This being a conference game, I think it'd be better to have it in the snow in Ames or in the snow potentially in Manhattan, being a big conference game. But, it's a great opportunity early in the season to get exposure and to go on an incredible trip. I'm sure that is going to be much bigger than a football game for all the people involved, from the fans to the players. So I definitely understand the appeal of it. I don't just love like a conference game, though. That just seems kind of strange to me, especially one where you do have a rivalry. It's going to be packed out in Manhattan or in Ames for that one. So that just strikes me as a little odd, but you know what? Go for it. I do see a lot of Iowa State fans already got like the Busch Light jokes. Guinness and Busch Light. Or, I don't think if you do go and empty the coffers in Ireland of their Guinness and any other beverage that they're offering, then we just need to give like the world's best beer drinking crowd trophy to Iowa State, because that would be truly impressive. It's a little bit of a different feeling in the belly, Busch Light and Guinness, for example. But yeah, they're going to definitely test that out based on the early returns from Iowa State fans.
Was this game scheduled for later in the year? I just looked up the 2025 K-State schedule.
Sure, it was.
They were going to open up with North Dakota on Saturday, August the 30th.
Well, they're just announcing it today, so clearly it's...
But then Iowa State was scheduled, but it was a time TBA, so that's interesting. You wonder if that would have been... They have not yet scheduled all those dates, but that's good for them. Was there a year where they weren't going to play? Was it like this year? Wasn't there a year when the Farmageddon was interrupted?
Well, it wasn't one of the protected rivalries. That was the whole hullabaloo about it, was that they didn't protect that, but they protected Arizona State, Baylor, TCU, so on. And there was the I don't know, backlash is too strong a word, but there was the pushback from fans of those fan bases that felt like that could have been one of those protected rivalries as well. So now it'll have its own kind of unique stage to start off the season. And I think as far as an early season game goes, that'll be a fun one. I think those two teams will probably be a lot different if they met 7 weeks later or whenever they would have played originally. But, hey, kick off the season with a bang and a hell of a road trip, and yeah, have fun with it. I'm sure both fan bases will.
All right, the sponsor is Aer Lingus, but in Dublin, Aer Lingus, right? Isn't that the way you would probably say it? Yeah.
They're not pirates.
Yeah, right.
They're just
Yeah,
Irish.
but they got that Irish.
Lingus.
Rogue.
No, that's not.
They have a hub, of course, in Dublin. Also,
I think you spoke too clearly for it to be Irish, actually. You wouldn't understand what they were saying.
Like someone who's Cajun, right, Garrett? Sometimes you got to kind of decipher through that.
I, of course, growing up Catholic, I knew a great many Irish priests, like lots of them, like many priests. Like Father Anglem. Father Anglem didn't have a real thick Irish accent. The priest that was the pastor of my church, he would do this thing where he would like emphasize the last word of a sentence in his, like he would say, today we have the story of Jacob and Esau.
Yeah, there you go.
Like Jacob was handsome, Esau was hairy. You know?
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun language. I don't know though. I mean, it's cool that they're doing this. I don't love it though. I have to just be perfectly honest about it. I don't love if that was a a K-State home game instead. But if you're a K-State fan that's looking for a reason to go to Ireland, you got it now. You got a good reason for a trip. But it strikes me as odd taking a conference game and putting it in Ireland of all places.
The ACC's doing it this year too. So yeah.
But
Nebraska, Northwestern, yeah.
Okay, they got to be cutting edge on their own, but that's also the kind of things that you have to do when you're trying to drum up interest, and that's where I kind of am coming from. I don't think you're going to see the Big Ten putting Michigan and Iowa and Dublin, Ireland. And if they do, then I'll eat my words. But
that's a possibility because Northwestern, Nebraska was a Big Ten game.
You're right. So I guess it's the trend. So cool for them to have that opportunity.
Didn't Notre Dame? In fact, this is from Justin. Notre Dame destroyed Navy in this game last year. I guess they wanted a game that might up being closer in the scoreboard. You're right.
Yeah, that should definitely be a closer game. I don't know how the style of play will go over with the fans of Ireland, like with those two teams.
With Avery
Johnson, though, it could be a little electric for sure. And Iowa State's got a pretty good young quarterback as well. So that's a nice little quarterback matchup with Becht and Johnson and two really good coaches and two really good programs. So, that'll be a hell of a game. It's just an odd place to put it, but that's kind of what you do in college football.
MC Gusto, Ireland's great. JG Neolardo, give me some Irish cream. MC, again, Dublin was rocking for UCF and Penn State years ago. Dublin, Ireland, reportedly made $168 million according to UT Parking from the Notre Dame Navy game. You'd think K-State, Iowa State will get a little piece of that with a decent cut from the sponsor.
Yeah, definitely not that amount because that was a lot of Notre Dame right there.
Yeah, of course,
going to
Navy,
Ireland.
Yeah, the military.
With the Irish connection, Notre Dame and Ireland. But that'll be a nice cut of the money. And going and hosting these events, I've seen WWE's doing it all the time now where they're getting paid by the local governments to come there and hold these big events, and they make $100 million in a week, and they get the city does, and they get their cut, and they give the WWE their cut, and WWE basically gets paid to put on the show, as opposed to hey, we're going to rent out your stadium, and we're going to cut, you get paid to go there and do it, and then you get more money on top of that, and then obviously the Tourism Bureau gets a huge influx of money, so there's like a TKO tie in there, or an Endeavor tie in there of kind of doing that thing of hosting an event like that. So, it makes a lot of sense to make some good money and do something differently.
From a Kansas State fan, Bracket Cat, I do not like this. Another lost weekend of revenue for the Manhattan community makes Ames give up a home game in 2026 and come here. Oh, I didn't know the details there that a game in Manhattan would be missed. So they're going to be in Dublin, and then maybe Iowa State would have to then give up a home game for this.
And look, Bracket Cat, you're not wrong to feel the way you do. You want another home game. I get it. I would say the reason I don't hate these is because these aren't I really got tired of Baylor and Texas Tech at AT&T Stadium.
Right.
I think college games.
I think everybody did.
Yeah, I think, and the reason it was is okay, it should have been a 2-year novelty and then gone back to where it was, but it wound up being a 7-year, 8-year thing.
Like a decade.
It was such a long thing. This is a one-shot deal, right. So it's cool. They're gonna rotate this around. Look, if Florida State was giving up a home game every year, I guess Georgia Tech might be the one giving up, but giving up a home game every year to go play in Ireland or Australia or England, I'd be like, you know what? Once in a while is fine, but college games and college stadiums, but it's a one-shot deal. So if there's a silver lining, you
make some bonus money more than you would. But I was just touting how it's great for Dublin tourism, how that's worked. Yeah, it is a loss though for Manhattan next year, certainly, because that is where that game is going to be played, as you pointed out. So loss of a home game. And so that does suck for the fans, and just a rivalry game like that, you don't necessarily want to see it not played in the home stadiums, but I see both sides of it. Definitely understand if you're coming from either direction.
So Texas